You are 24 years old, standing in a drab community centre in Yekaterinburg, pretending to care about municipal water policy. 50 people sit in folding chairs under fluorescent lights. A local party official drones on about infrastructure spending. Half the room looks bored, a few people are asleep, none of that matters. What matters is that your name is on the attendance sheet. You showed up, you stayed late, you volunteered to hand out pamphlets, no one will read and organise rallies, no one actually chose to attend. In this system, those details matter. Every appearance gets logged. Every hour gets noticed. The party is always building files, always measuring who is reliable, who is ambitious, who can be trusted to do ugly work without asking ugly questions. You joined United Russia because that is what ambitious people do. Not because you believe in it. Belief is for speeches, television, and pensioners waving flags they barely understand. The party is not ideology. It is access. It is the front door to a machine that runs Russia through loyalty, fear, and invisible networks. And if you prove obedient enough, useful enough, and morally flexible enough, that machine may one day let you get close to the Kremlin. That is the fantasy. What no one tells you at the beginning is that the closer you get, the less human your life becomes. Level 1. The regional office. At first, the work feels humiliatingly small. You have a law degree from Moscow State University, and now you are back in Yekaterinburg doing party grunt work that looks beneath you. But humiliation is part of the filter. The system wants to know whether you can swallow your pride before it rewards your patience. 6 months in, you get your first real assignment: local elections. Not to persuade anyone, not to debate policy, not to win honestly. Your job is to make the numbers look right. You coordinate turnout in 3 districts. You flag precincts that may come in too low. You arrange buses to bring pensioners to polling stations. You hand out grocery vouchers to the ones who vote early. Some districts somehow report 92% turnout for United Russia. Everyone knows it is absurd. No one says anything. This is the first real lesson. Elections in Russia are not mechanisms of choice. They are performances of legitimacy. Your job is not to create consent. Your job is to make the outcome look inevitable. And you are good at it. Not because you care, but because you understand the rules quickly. Results matter. Questions do not. When a superior tells you to do something questionable, you do it, record the result, and move on. A lot of people stall here. Some have too much conscience. Others lack the stomach for routine dishonesty. You have neither problem. So after 18 months, the system notices you. You are promoted to youth coordinator for the Sverdlovsk region. Now, your job is not just to serve the machine, it is to recruit for it. You target university students who are ambitious but not connected, intelligent but still cheap to buy. Students from the provinces who see Moscow as escape. You promise them internships, relationships, pathways upward. A lot of what you promise is real. Some of it is not. By the time they realize the difference, they are already inside. You run summer camps disguised as leadership training. In reality, you are teaching message discipline, mobilization, and how to flood opposition voices online before they spread. The curriculum comes from Moscow. You just deliver it. At the end of one camp, you write detailed reports on the 5 strongest recruits. Who is loyal? Who is ambitious? Who will bend rules without theatrical guilt? Those reports go upward. You are not just building your own file anymore. You are feeding the pipeline. Level 2. The Moscow transfer. 3 years in, the call comes. Moscow wants you. Not party headquarters. Something closer. The presidential administration. Officially, your department has a deliberately vague name. In reality, your job is simpler and darker. Monitor the governors, track the regions, and help make sure the political machine stays synchronized. You are 27 years old and suddenly handling information about men who run entire provinces like private kingdoms. The building at Staraya Square is only a short walk from the Kremlin, but it feels like a different country from the one outside. Security is suffocating. Your phone stays in a locker. Your computer has no internet. Documents are numbered, tracked, and returned. You share an office with other junior staffers and none of you discuss what you do. Information is compartmentalized because trust is thin and paranoia is treated like professionalism. This is where you first meet the culture of the inner state. No one explains more than necessary. No one says what everyone already understands. Your chain runs under Sergei Kiriyenko, Putin's first deputy chief of staff, and one of the men who has spent years shaping domestic political control for the entire country. He has the kind of memory that makes younger officials feel permanently examined. In one of your early meetings, you are asked about a turnout number from a precinct in Yekaterinburg 2 years earlier. You remember it. That is not a conversation, that is a test. And you pass. Now your daily work is surveillance disguised as administration. You read governors' reports, you track regional approval numbers, you flag signs of weakness, vanity, disloyalty, or independent ambition. Some governors are loyal, some are competent. Very few are both. When one starts building too much of a local power base, or skimming too greedily, or sounding too independent, you write the memo. You do not remove him yourself. Someone above you handles that part. Your role is to notice first. This is where you learn that Russia is not run by the institutions printed on paper. The formal state is only the shell. Real authority moves through old loyalties, private networks, security service ties, and a hierarchy no official chart can capture. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. Every visible structure has an invisible one underneath it. Level 3, the enforcement layer. 2 years into Moscow, your portfolio changes. The presidential administration is tightening control over regional media, and now you are part of that process. Not direct censorship, something more efficient. Expectation. Your job is to coordinate with governors and make sure local television stations maintain proper messaging. Proper means loyal, pro-Kremlin, pro-stability, anti-opposition, anti-anyone suggesting the system itself might be the problem. You do not issue dramatic commands. You monitor tone, omissions, and deviations. Most governors understand the assignment immediately. One does not. He argues that a regional station in Nizhny Novgorod should have editorial independence. You write the memo. 3 weeks later, corruption charges appear, maybe real, maybe useful. He is removed. A more compliant replacement takes office. The station adjusts its coverage almost immediately. That is the lesson. Independence is punished. Compliance is rewarded. Everyone watching learns faster than the man who was removed. By now, you are also noticing certain names recur in project documents, financing structures, and political discussions, even though they do not need public office to matter. Arkady Rotenberg, Gennady Timchenko, Yuri Kovalchuk, construction, oil, banking, infrastructure, media, state contracts, strategic assets. These men are not merely rich. They are woven into the system of rule itself. When their names appear on a project, you understand immediately that the project is politically protected. When someone opposes their interests, you make a note, because that person's future has probably shortened. This is when Moscow starts to feel less like a capital and more like a court. Not a modern bureaucracy. A court with patrons, gatekeepers, untouchables, rituals of loyalty, constant silent ranking. You are still far from the top, but now you are close enough to hear the machinery. Level 4. The inner rooms. After 4 years in the presidential administration, you are moved again. Officially, it looks lateral. It is not. You are now deputy head inside the domestic policy apparatus, which means you are finally attending meetings that do not appear on any schedule and often matter more than televised cabinet sessions ever will. These are small rooms with controlled access and very little wasted language. The people here are not celebrities. They are more important than celebrities. They are operators, gatekeepers, men whose names the public barely knows and whose decisions quietly shape the country. This is where you begin seeing the real hierarchy. Anton Vaino, the chief of staff, barely raises his voice, but every request for presidential access runs through his office. If proximity to Putin is the only true currency in the system, Vaino controls one of the gates. Dmitry Peskov translates the regime to the outside world. Nikolai Patrushev embodies the hard security state worldview at the Kremlin's core. Sergei Shoigu for a time appears durable. Then the war in Ukraine goes badly and durability starts looking different. This is another lesson. Power in the Kremlin is never permanent. It only looks permanent from a distance. You watch whispers form around once untouchable figures before the official change ever arrives. When powerful men lose position, outsiders act shocked. Inside the system, the signs were visible much earlier. Putin does not forgive failure, and he does not tolerate rival centers of gravity for long. Your own role now includes coordination with the oligarchic networks that keep the machine lubricated. Not the loud billionaires with yachts and football clubs, but the inner circle businessmen whose fortunes and state priorities move together. When a project needs protection, Rotenberg's network appears. When energy flows need steering, Timchenko's interests are nearby. Banking and media seem to bend around Kovalchuk's orbit. The money circulates in loops: state contracts, private beneficiaries, political reinforcement, renewed loyalty. Everyone inside the loop understands what is happening. No one says it plainly. You are also being tested more aggressively now. Can you manage sensitive information without performing ownership over it? Can you move between competing factions without getting emotionally attached to any of them? Can you remain useful without becoming visible? One mistake can end everything. A deputy minister speaks too freely at dinner. He is gone within a week. An administrator forms the wrong private relationship. A corruption case appears. Another official begins confusing access with independence and is quietly removed before the mistake becomes contagious. The message is simple. Serve the machine, do not improvise, and never mistake borrowed power for your own. Level 5. The realization. By the time you are 47, you have been climbing for nearly 2 decades. Regional office, youth recruitment, Moscow transfer, governor oversight, media control, inner rooms. From the outside, it would look like a triumph. You have access to information most Russians will never know exists. You attend meetings where decisions affecting millions are settled in minutes. You move between centers of power that officially are not supposed to function the way they actually do. You are inside the machine, and this is when the final truth becomes impossible to avoid. You are not one of the people using the system. You are one of the things it uses. That is the revelation no one gives you at 24. The Kremlin rewards loyalty, competence, and moral flexibility, but it never stops owning the people who provide those things. It extracts your usefulness, then keeps you near only as long as you remain controlled. The closer you get to real power, the more dangerous your own existence becomes, because proximity creates knowledge, and knowledge creates risk. Trust in this world is temporary. Paranoia is permanent. You have watched colleagues disappear into forced retirement, regional exile, corruption investigations, or administrative oblivion. Some probably deserved it, some probably did not. That distinction matters less each year. You have helped stage elections, you have helped shape media narratives, you have watched dissent narrowed, crushed, mocked, or simply made invisible. For a long time, you told yourself it was necessary. Stability, order, national interest, preventing something worse. Some days you still believe it. Most days you understand that belief was one more tool the system handed you so you could keep functioning. And now you are trapped by your own success. Your money, your status, your relationships, your sense of purpose, all of it is tied to the machine. Walking away would mean losing everything and advertising yourself as someone who knows too much. The higher you climbed, the fewer exits remained. That is the real shape of the Kremlin ladder. Not freedom upward, dependence upward. And somewhere tonight, in Yekaterinburg or Novosibirsk or Kazan, another young bureaucrat is staying late in a regional office, proving himself useful, imagining Moscow as salvation. He thinks he is applying for influence, relevance, proximity to history. What he is really applying for is a slow surrender of conscience in exchange for access. He just does not know it yet. But he will learn. They all do, because the Kremlin does not need reformers. It does not even need believers. It needs people who can rationalize, obey, endure, and stay silent while the system sorts the loyal from the disposable. The ladder is always there. Someone is always climbing. And at the top, one man still decides who stays close and who falls.